Hi there, this is Vema, your awesome realtor and land developer, talking to you about the shape of land and why that matters to the value of your property. So I'm analyzing two pieces of property in kind of South Texas, and these are the two properties I'm on. This long rectangular property, which has 227 acres, and this kind of more interesting looking piece of property, more triangle-ish, I would say, shape of 289 acres. I'm just going to give you kind of some takes about what are the differences between them and what you should need to think about when evaluating properties. So, looking at this rectangular shape, as you can see, looks like it has some type of road frontage of some kind. On the back of it, has access to river, so it has river frontage. It is mostly rectangular shaped, okay? And it's 227 acres, so that's a lot of land. And in general, there's low water areas in these areas, but I only think a small portion of it is a floodplain. We'll get to that next. The other piece of portion is a lot more interesting. Fortunately, it doesn't have road frontage of any kind, but it probably has easement access. And it has quite a bit more river frontage than the other property, and that's very valuable. Something to keep in mind. It is also very more jagged, it's not as uniformly shaped. And so, unfortunately, that kind of hurts the value of the land because the more uniformly shaped, the better it is because there's more things that you can develop and you can more efficiently use the land. If you talk with any civil engineer, when you're having to do with these jagged corners, you can't be as efficient, and so you can't get the most out of your land. There's going to be land that's just not going to be used as efficiently. And now, some of the other factors you need to keep in mind is the floodplain, because there's a lot of restrictions on what you can build inside the floodplain. So let's pull up the floodplain map. As you can see here, as I mentioned before, on this first property, only a small portion of it is in the floodplain. I would say 5 to 10%. While in the second piece of property, there's quite a bit. I would go as far as to say half is in the floodplain. So this land has a lot less you can develop. So just kind of looking at between these two, even though this has got a lot less land, it's 227 acres versus 289. That's 70 acres less. I think this land is significantly worth a lot more, and you could sell this significantly more price per acre. While this land you couldn't sell it for as much, because not only is there so much of the land is taken up to the floodplain, it doesn't have road frontage. And how these kind of floodplains are determined, like FEMA determines these floodplains, but if you can kind of get an idea, you need to look at the contour lines. And I think it's always good to look at the contour lines because it kind of is another aspect for determining how developable the land is. So if we put the FEMA back on, it looks like at 350 is kind of where the contour lines go. Is where the contour lines go, and that's kind of where the floodplain is. So anything less, looks like anything less than 350 in feet is inside the floodplain near the rivers. That kind of gives you an idea of the contour lines. And you see, as the lines are closer together, that means there's more elevation changes. So in a perfect world, you want something like where there's fewer lines together, because that generally means that it's flatter. And the closer these lines are together, that means the more change in elevation. And for developing land, you prefer less changes in elevation. So when you're looking at land and determine its value, you want more road frontage. You'd love to have at least some river frontage, but the only downside to having any type of river or water frontage is how much floodplain there is. And in this one, this is a very little amount. And then in some other aspects is look how much is in the floodplain, and also look at how flat the land is. You don't want the land to be perfectly flat, but you would prefer less deviations in the land. You prefer it to be flatter versus like lots of change in elevations, because then it becomes less developable. So in general, I think this land here is worth quite a bit more than this land, just because of all those things I've mentioned. So that's all I have for you on the shape of land. I'll have more videos kind of giving more ideas about prices of land and how I evaluate them. So this is Vema signing out. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Bye.